We are live. Welcome to Artcasters, episode 353. I want to point out that Jim Luhan is a payer and
A
demands
tax
that the
paper.
show. He's a tax paper. Yeah, I think he's a 1090 easy. I think that's his. Yeah, I think that's
That
his.
that was his MC name back in Jim Luhan's freestyle rap days.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Back in the
Actually,
day.
that would be a great rap name.
But
1040
anyway,
easy.
welcome to Artcasters. Is this the first Artcasters of this year, or did last?
No, last we were behind a week. We wanted to do the wrap up before the end of the year, but you guys were sick, so
Yeah.
I think this is the second one of the new year.
All right. Well, the second one of the new year, the first one actually talking about this year.
Yeah.
So before we jump in, but today we're going to talk about kind of our goals for the year. I have predictions. My prediction is Josh will say that he doesn't have very many goals, and then we'll have an incredibly large amount of goals. Scott has spent several hours coming up with a list of goals that he will run through, and I haven't thought about it at all. And we'll kind of just say, I don't know, man. So that's my prediction. That's my prediction for this episode.
We'll just call you Nostradamus over there.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. But before we jump into that, let us talk about where you can find our stuff. So, Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff on my YouTube channel, where I've got tons of videos. I think there's at least 1,000 videos up there. I think. Is there?
Wow.
Maybe. I think so. Or there's a lot, but there's a lot of videos on making art and the business of art. And there's also my series, Making Comics 101, which is a soup to nuts just course on how to make comics, everything from coming up with your idea all the way to printing, publishing, and everything in between. There's like, I don't know, probably if you want to watch the whole thing, there's like, I think 70 something videos in that series, or you can just find the topics you want. If you want, if you want penciling, if you want inking, then you can just go to those and everything. So definitely check that out. Also, you can find more of my work on my website. I've got digital products for making comics. I've got print products. I've got my comic books. And I do have a shipment with the new books coming in. They just mentioned that. Man, that was it's kind of a long wait. Usually the printers don't take as long, but they're on their way. So I will have the new issue available on my site pretty soon if you missed out on the Kickstarter. So
Sweet.
that's it.
The new issue of what?
Of what? Young and the Dead, my Kids versus Zombie adventure story.
Nice.
And now that Scott has said the name of his comic, this channel just got demonetized.
That has happened before.
So with that, Josh, where can we find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find my stuff at bookstores everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. But you can find some of it at bookstores everywhere. Jacob's Apartment would be one of them. If you don't find this at your local bookstore, ask them to order it. It is a slice of life doomed romance comic in the vein of Ghost World if you took that and mixed it in a blender with Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, but did it a little more slice of lifey, where it's more of like a snapshot of a realistic time in life that talks about romance, questioning of faith, young love, and the search for identity and purpose. And again, it's a doomed romance. So you can pick this up at bookstores anywhere, and you can also get it from Graphic Mundi's website directly, or you can go to basically any online book retailer and order yourself a copy of this. I would recommend it. And then also Two Stories, which is my autobiographical graphic novel about faith and mental illness that talks about growing up at a Christian school and experiencing a lot of hypocrisy and learning how to deal with different mental illnesses like depression and panic disorder and things like that. Two stories that alternate in style and content, from lighthearted to really heavy and hopefully beautiful, capturing like truth of life. So that's available too. And those are my two things. And then aside from that, we'll get into this with goals, but you know, on YouTube you can check me out and stuff like that. And I should be streaming again soon.
Cool.
So yeah,
Awesome. Can't wait. Miss it.
Yeah, and you can find my stuff at CoryCur.com. And if you haven't already, go check out the new merchandise that I have available there. You can see the shirts and mugs and flags and
Cory. For a second, I thought you said Russian dice, not merchandise, and I was like, Russian dice.
Yeah, I'm actually
You're like,
changing
yeah, I'm
everything
getting-
up. I'm moving away from illustration, and I'm getting into just very specific Eastern Bloc versions of tabletop gaming. So
when you open the dice, is there more dice inside, and you keep opening them, and they get smaller?
yeah, you open them up, and there's little dice inside, and it's total Cyrillic alphabet. So, so if you're looking for that, I've got the Russian dice right on my website. And if you're looking for that, you'll be slightly disappointed to find ink illustrations on T-shirts and stuff about the end of the world. So
I got mine. Mine's coming. So and then I got and then and then Jen got mad at me because I ordered one without her. She says she wanted one too. She's like, we've got to shave on the shipping, but so I might have to order another one. We both might have to order one. So
fun. Well, I'm trying something. Maybe I think I'll say this on the air. I got several of my typewriters working. So I'm going to test out doing hand typed postcards or letters that have like a one-time use coupon code for people who have purchased things. So
well, how do you do that? Because doesn't that come that you don't ship those out yourself, do you?
Yeah, I'm going to send it out. Maybe a week or so after I think the person received.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I get it. But they won't. Yeah, but you aren't shipping the shirts out yourself.
No,
you have a fulfillment center.
Yeah.
Thing that does it. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm white labeling through Printful.
Right.
I really like the quality of their shirts. I've done a lot of shirts through them, and they're really good. But they are, because they're making one shirt at a time, and it's not. It's a higher quality, like direct garment. It's not like the mass quality stuff, that mass produced stuff that you get with like T Public and things. It takes them a little bit longer. So it's like a normal, like pre-Amazon amount of time to get something in the internet. So anyway, so I'm thinking that maybe like if I can have this postcard or something beat the package. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I tried typing on some of my art postcards that I had printed from a while ago, and it shredded them. Like the typewriter like punctured with each letter through the paper. So I've got to find a more forgiving paper stock, which might take me away from postcards and towards something else.
Sticker or just handwrite it.
Yeah, handwriting it kind of.
Yeah,
I like the idea of, because I mean the one that I got functioning is it's a 1903 typewriter. So it came out in 1903. It's an Underwood number 5, and so it's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that cares about that, but I kind of feel like people who are into the messaging in my shirts might also appreciate a hand typed archaic.
The postcard it's on should show what the typewriter looks like, so people can appreciate it more, or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Integrated in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm still experimenting with that, but yeah. Anyway, long story short, I'll see if I can figure out how to get my website to produce a one-time use shipping code or something. I'll give it to you so that Jen can get a shirt and save on shipping or something. We'll see if we can work something like that out. Anyway, Gary has a mug on the way, so he's got one going to him as well. A couple other people have ordered as well, so appreciate the orders. It's always fun to see my art on things that are not in my own home. So it's kind of cool. All right. So anyway, let's jump into what we're doing. Who wants to start?
I don't know. I started first last time. I think I did.
You
I think you
remember?
should start first this time.
I can't even remember what happened last week, let alone a year ago.
Yeah,
I'm the kid who wants to sit in the back of the room when there's a full group of chairs available. So I'm gonna allow you to go,
right.
Scott.
I've got a list, so I guess I could start first
Yes.
again.
I called it.
All right. So first on my list is Young and the Dead. So as you guys know, I wrapped up the 5th issue, and the 6th issue is the final issue, and I've basically kind of been putting it off, and I do that every single time. You know, it's like, oh, I got this one out, and then I just recorded something for a video on starters versus finishers, and I said, you know what, I think I'm a finisher because sometimes I have trouble getting things started, so I got to work on that. But I did start. So the first of the year I started, I'm basically like doing the 100 Days of Making Comics, only I'm not blogging about it, which if you're not familiar, I'm sure we got new people that aren't familiar with it, but 100 Days of Making Comics is where you spend at least 30 minutes a day, every day working on your comic, and you do that for 100 days straight. And then you blog about it, or you do a video about it just to hold yourself accountable. I've done that, like, I don't know how many times, 4 or 5 times. This time I'm not vlogging about it because I've done it, you know, but I would recommend you do it if you haven't, if you're going to take the challenge. And I'm doing an hour, and I'm not really planning on stopping at 100 days. I'm just going to keep going till it's done. So that's what I'm doing now every morning. I usually go jogging first, and I come back, and then I work on the comic. And so I'm making process, still in the thumbnail stage. The thing that I'm planning on doing differently is that I'm going to try to implement the Slack method, which is Scott Lost, who we had on the show. It's his method. I'm going to try it out. I'm not, and basically what that is where you don't work on it sequentially. I mean, it's a sequential story, but you don't work on, or maybe sequentially is not the best word because that gets confusing. You don't work on it. What's the word I'm searching for? Just in any kind of order. You kind of go around, like you may work on say faces one day, and then you might skip from one page to another and just work on all the faces, or maybe you work on backgrounds and things, kind of whatever you're sort of in the mood to do. And you kind of start you started out with all the pages kind of on one thing, which I'm still not exactly sure how he does it without it being cumbersome in these big giant files. But right now I'm just working on thumbnails. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm anxious to see if that speeds up my process and everything. And if you're curious about that method, you can go and check out, I forgot whose channel it was on, but it was one of the Artcasters with Scott Lost. So check that out. So I'm excited that I'm back working on the comic again, especially since this is the final issue. So that's one thing. And let's see. So the other thing that I'm going to do is last year. Where is it? I think I showed this off before. Hold on. This educational comic I did for cybersecurity industry.
Yes.
I illustrated the cover based on the interior artist's concept sketches, but all the interior was done by another artist. But I wrote it and I art directed it and everything. And we want to do more of these. I've got a partner, and we're actually hopefully going to try to bring Cory into it to do some animated comics and things. But I want to build that. I want to continue to kind of build that out as a ongoing sort of as a company and a revenue stream. Creating these educational comics for not only the cybersecurity industry, which is probably where it will start, because that's what my partner in this is kind of his expertise. But I don't see why that can't go into just about anything, because I think anything that you can learn it better if it's in a comic book form. So I just think that's a cool route to go down and everything. And so that's something that I'm going to be concentrating on. And the big one is, and these are all the, the business goals.
Yeah.
But taking basically my YouTube content, and Josh will love this. He loves it every time I say this, but taking it into a new direction. uh, so yeah, I mean, and I feel bad about being so cryptic because you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys are all on board.
So when are you officially launching that?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, and as I go in, you'll kind of see some of the stages before I get to that point, and I'll talk about that. But I haven't actually produced any of the new content yet. So, but I have plans, and I'll kind of go in. But the first part of that is to finish the studio, which you can see a little bit of, but there's a lot more to it and everything. So I'm basically combining everything into one studio space, whereas before, I had a little loft area where I would do my live streams. And then I had the underground lair, which is, breaking the fourth wall, is basically a little walk-in closet. My girlfriend has moved in, and we have these two little walk-in closets. And now I don't have one anymore because she took the one that I was using. So I need my closet back. So, and plus it wasn't ideal. I mean, I just shoot the videos in there, and it's really I don't really work in that space because it looks a lot bigger on camera than it is. It's pretty small. So, so now I'm going to have everything in one area, and Cory's been here. He's seen it. He's kind of helped me set some of the stuff up. But there's to create an area that looks sort of like the underground lair. I've built these panels and I'm finishing those up, and basically, so my first goal, and it's getting pretty close, is to finish this studio up here. Then I can start shooting some of the content and everything. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to batch record, because like I said, I kind of need to get that closet. So I'm going to batch record some videos in the existing space, and then and that should give me some time if I get like a surplus of some videos that I can hold on to while I'm creating the new content and everything, because it's going to be a different direction, but I think it's still going to appeal to my existing, the existing audience. But I think it's just going to be a lot more fun, and it's going to kind of, I think, rejuvenate my interest in YouTube and everything like that. And it's just going to be some cool stuff. So I'm really excited about that. That's the big one. And with that, there'll be some kind of rebranding, like with the website and the YouTube channel and all of that stuff. And then hopefully, I say this every year, but I'd like to at least get back to posting some more on social media. Once I get these videos, I want to start doing some YouTube shorts, and then maybe also share those to like a TikTok or Instagram, because I think this kind of content, I think it can be edited down into shorts, and then hopefully that will get some interest to people that like what I'm doing, and maybe get them over to the YouTube channel to check out the longer form videos.
So just to summarize, like, you're going to be taking it in a new direction in shorts.
Yeah, yes. That's kind of an oxymoron. You can't have shorts if you got a new direction.
Depends on how you wear them.
Sorry, Cory. I think we just got this thing demonetized.
We're going to start with dead children. We'll end up with new direction in shorts, so that's fine. I want to point out that a milestone has happened.
Oh,
what's
nice.
that?
Oh, can I not? There we go.
Oh, is it Jim's?
Yeah. So Jim's 10-year-old laptop turned 10 years old. Old faithful.
Happy birthday!
And to celebrate that, he shot it in the back of the head with a shotgun and buried it in his backyard and got a new MacBook. So
awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Congrats, Jim. That's awesome.
Yeah, in my opinion, in my experience, laptops don't last that very long. That's why I'm not a big fan of laptops, but I'm actually streaming from one right now, so I needed to get one that I could take back and forth to places. So so basically, hopefully I can post those shorts on some different social media and everything, and then I want to, with the new content, there's going to be hopefully new products that go along with it. Digital products and things like that. Maybe a new incentive to join the newsletter, like in lieu of or in addition to the Comic Maker Toolkit, which will be cool. And then I kind of want to shift some focus to working on my Patreon, because right now it's just kind of, there's not a whole lot going on over there. So I want to, really take that seriously and hopefully build a community over there.
Got it.
And then I want to look into doing live streams. That's something I haven't done enough research to. I think I could do some live streams that have to do with the new content. And the way YouTube seems to separate everything. They separate your like recorded videos and your shorts and your live streams into different categories. So I just don't know how that affects like algorithms and things like that. So I'll have to look a little more into that. But I'd like to start doing some more live streams. And this studio here will be, once I get it all set up, it'll be an excellent space for doing live streams and things, and I'll be able to do a lot more than I could before. So that's cool. So with all that, I also want to do more kind of community building and networking. So I'd like to start doing some more drink and draws, which I know Gary went to. I think I did one, and that was it. I wanted to do more, but that was it. So I'd like to get back to doing some drink and draws. Creative South. I know Cory's already got his tickets for Creative South, so I got to get mine, which they're already paid for because we bought tickets a while ago, and then the pandemic happened. So I just got to do whatever, sign up for it and everything. But so that's a creative event that's held in Georgia that we're gonna go to. And then I'd like to do, I want to do more trips and stuff, and whether out to California or maybe up to Idaho or something like that, and just, meet with you guys and all our artist friends. So I want to do more of that coming up. So those, usually I've just got these massive amount of lists and stuff, but I want to keep it pretty simple, because the main things are, the comic, the educational comics, and the new YouTube stuff. So and where the other parts that kind of branch out from that. So those are pretty much my business goals, and then I've got a few personal goals, just health goals. I mentioned earlier, I've been jogging, and I've been dieting and stuff like that. So my goal there is to lose like 20 pounds. And to do that, I've started like a keto diet. And then, which actually I heard I thought it was gonna be really difficult, but it's a lot easier than I thought. And I'm enjoying it so far. So, and then also my goal is to like jog like 12 to 15 miles a week, which I've been doing since the first of the year. As far as the home life and everything, I'm still working towards kind of a minimalism thing, not too drastic, but just getting rid of a lot of stuff around here that really I don't need, that's kind of tying me down. So I got to lose that attachment to some of that stuff and get rid of that, and just kind of clean this place up and do some more like decorating, things like that.
I'm looking forward to the live streams from your converted Sprinter van.
Yes. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind getting a van, and I don't want to live in the van, but I wouldn't mind traveling in a van and doing all that.
If you get a van, you have to paint it with like a Pegasus and a wizard.
That would be so awesome.
And everywhere you go, you have to park down by the river.
So I don't watch a lot of van life content, but do any of these van life people, do they have like a totally 70s like van like that?
That would be amazing.
I
don't know if anyone does.
And if no one does, there you go. There's $1 million YouTube idea for you right there.
Yeah, and you could do like YouTube pranks, where you like pull up to like a grocery store parking lot, and you have dry ice inside, so when you open it, just smoke just wafts up. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would I like that now that you mentioned them.
And that would be a cool YouTube video too. You could do a tutorial on how to paint a wizard on your van.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Somebody's got to steal that because if I ever do it, it's gonna be a while before I get around to it.
You guys, if you're a big fan of Artcasters, what you should really do is buy us a collective 1970s van that we can paint a wizard on. That's all I'm saying. Just throwing that out there.
The
anyone wants
three
to.
of us that each live 1,000 miles from each other.
Hey, dude, I'll take a trip to Arizona to spray paint a wizard on a van with you guys.
Well, it's mobile. No reason why you can't do that. We'll take it. You could take it to different places and have different artists add to the van.
Yeah,
almost like
cool.
the bus in the Muppet Show, the Muppet movie, where the mayhem gets together and starts painting the bus and everything. Man, these are great ideas. My goals. Forget everything I said. I'm totally going into the van life, and we're going to get a 70s van, and I'll start with the wizard, and then you guys are going to add your own thing to it, and that's awesome. Honestly, that's a cool
I know.
idea.
I hate when I make a joke that sounds super cool, and now I really want to do it.
Yeah, but speaking of travel, I mean, that's the next thing on my list is just travel. I want to travel more. So what did Christopher say?
Oh, yeah. Hi, gang. I see a new Artcasters show with you three traveling to North America in a 70s van, expanding minds and creating comics on the road.
That's awesome. I love it. So yeah, I do want to travel more. I mentioned that, I want to get out to see you guys and everything and all that stuff. So and then just family stuff. I want to do I want to have some get-togethers with family and stuff. My kids are grown, so maybe do some game nights where they can come over and we play games. And then last but not least, just focusing more on my personal growth and everything. I've been continuing on with the transformational leadership thing. I just did a course on it was called what is it called? Money, Wealth, and Miracles, where it's just basically, just how you look at money and generating energy around money and things like that. So I did that one, and then I'm doing another one called Living Transformation. And I'm also I've been working with a personal coach, meeting with the coach once a month, and I'm going to continue doing that just to, that's just really improved my life and pretty much everything around it. So I'm going to continue to do that. Awesome. So those are my goals.
Sweet.
I'm excited to start the Artcasters channel together, and that'll be good. One time, how much of the story can I tell? A little bit. I can tell a little bit of it. One time, an executive from Ford reached out to me and said, we'd like to give you a matrix to drive around the country and shoot YouTube content with and blah, blah, blah.
Really?
And it would have been
cool. How long ago was this?
That was probably 10 years ago, I think. Maybe. No, it's probably longer than that. It was maybe 15 years ago.
Okay, so this is before your YouTube channel. So how do you get all these sponsorships and stuff like that?
This one, as I went to school with this guy, and then he went on to Princeton, and then got kind of in. Anyway, I turned it down because I couldn't figure out a situation where I could just leave, live on the road for it's like I have a job, family, it just anyway. But that would have been a more interesting one, I think, than some of the other sponsorships. Though I appreciate all my sponsors, and well, cool. That sounds fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to see you roll out your channel. I thought it was. I was, maybe this is just me. I was under the impression that it was going to be like now, like you're gonna roll it out January 1.
That would have been nice, but it just,
Life.
it hasn't worked like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on over here. So
I don't know anything about things that get in the way of
yeah.
plans. It's
Yeah.
I never
Corey
said that
has
I never
no
said
unforeseen.
that it was going to be the first of the year.
right. No, that's why I
just-
said
but-
I think I just assumed that because I never recall you actually saying.
No,
You
no,
just said
no,
next year, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, cool, January 1." Yeah, but
no, yeah,
that was me.
no,
My
no.
assumption.
It's still got a little ways to go.
All right, I can go next. I don't have. I'm trying to make mine not depressing. So the first few are depressing. I would like to stay out of the hospital this year. That's I'd like to avoid. I'd like to avoid that though. I might be heading for a CT scan since the recent round of stuff doesn't seem to have worked. But I'm going to be doing, continuing to do more breathing exercises. I don't know if this would be weird, or I had a thought today. I don't know how comfortable I am doing this, but I had a thought today. I thought, what if some of these, because I'm doing this for creative expression, like I'm teaching a class that I just wrote called Intentional Creativity, and it's for younger people, but also middle-aged and older people that have developed digital habits where they're not allowing themselves to have their own thinking, their own thoughts, their own inspiration, creativity. And so I had a thought. I don't know if I'm going to do this. This isn't a plan. This is a random thought I had today during lunch. Maybe doing some like artistically centered mindfulness meditation and breathing exercise videos where I take people through some guided, just breathing, nothing weird. Like I'm not going to like astral project or anything. But what's that, Scott?
I've been doing a little bit of that, like a lot of the courses that I go through. Like when I was talking about the Money, Wealth, and Miracles one, we did some meditation and stuff like that. And there's another thing called tapping. Have you heard that? It's like you tap on certain parts of your body, and there's all kinds of stuff like that. So that sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
I would definitely do it if you end up putting that content out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I guess let me know in the chat if you guys would be interested. I would want to do it authentically, so it's going to be really hard to not be really sarcastic during it because it's
yeah,
it's weird stuff, but it's not too weird. Like it's weird stuff if you're like just a normal person who doesn't, do meditation and stuff. But it's not weird stuff like we're not going to be like, seance.
Right.
You're not opening all your chakras.
What's that, Josh?
You're not opening all your chakras or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's not. It's really just putting your phone down and and spending some unprogrammed time away from algorithms in the media to allow yourself to think.
Corey will get you through straight yogi style meditation to where at the end you'll reach full shavasana and see Krishna himself.
I will. I promise that you will grow a thin, scraggly beard, and be so thin that you can see a rib cage through your shirt. It'll be amazing. It'll be awesome. And for some reason, you'll blow fire.
In all seriousness, though, like the mindfulness thing, I think would be really helpful. I think that's something like Scott was mentioning. I also found out about a lot of that stuff, like breathing techniques and stuff like that. Like you find out about it because you need it, and it's like, and it's like. It's better to find out about it before you need it.
Right.
I think. So, I think that would actually be really cool, Corey. I would watch that.
Yeah. And this class I'm teaching is amazing. I mean, we've had just a week of it so far, and people are having incredible experiences of better sleep and less anxiety. And they're filling up their sketchbooks with executable ideas. And
awesome.
Anyway,
that's
so
cool. I could see that actually going somewhere, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I think I've always struggled reaching an audience that cares about, like a larger audience that cares about my art, and people who are looking to disconnect from technology, would probably be interested in.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Esoteric Crumble Flux series. So I don't know.
I like it, and it's just, it all kind of connects into your brand and everything. It all makes sense. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, yeah. It could be fun. We could do some more of the extreme stuff because my buddy who lived in Finland for a couple of years, he built a sauna in his backyard, and right now there's like 4 feet of snow outside, and so I go over there a couple times a month, and we do the whole sauna, and then lay down in the snow, and then sauna, and
Oh
then
wow.
dunk yourself in the the horse trough. You got to
Oh
lift
my
up
God.
the 6 inches of ice off the top of the thing before you get it, and it feels great.
I don't
But
like the
that would make
cold.
for good content.
I remember when
I don't
Kevin
know.
Cross was doing those cold showers. I'm like, I can't do that.
Cold showers, no, that's absolute torture. I think that's insane. But if you are sitting in 120-degree kind of sauna with the steam stuff, and then
Mhm.
you go outside, like the snow actually feels good.
Yeah, it's like that because I'll go in the hot tub and then I'll get out and it's like, oh, it's pretty exhilarating. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, then I'm gonna say so breathing exercises, which I don't know. You guys tell me if in the chats or in the comments of this video or whatever, if that's something. I know Gary's already said that he'd be interested, but if that's
Oh,
something you're interested in, I think there's some.
I would add, Corey, also, you guys in the chats, post some of your like big goals. What are you guys planning on
Yeah,
accomplishing in the
I
new
would love
year?
to
Yeah.
hear what you guys are gonna be up to.
And again, like touching in from like last week's as well. Like if there's something you accomplished the last year, they feel good about, like list it out in the chats too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd like to get my strength back up. I mean, I've never been super fit, but I used to be strong, and lost that last year. So I like to get back up to being able to do some of the kind of trickier pull-ups and being able to do anyway different things. So I'm at a roughly like 2 to 4 pull-ups right now. I'd like to get back up to about 12. And that'll take a number of different things, but getting my strength up and getting my pain levels down. And then we are back living in our house. I'm not in the garage anymore, but we haven't quite finished off everything. So I'm gonna finish the stupid bathroom downstairs that flooded. That is like almost there, and then get everything that we moved everything in the house that away from the water into my theater room. When you live in the middle of nowhere, houses don't cost that much, and so that sounds like really rich, but it's just because I live in the middle of a high plains desert, hundreds of miles from anything, and so I have a theater room right over there. But right now it's just full of boxes of stuff. So I'd like to get that going again, and then I'd like to stay out of debt. I got ahead last year or the year before last, and now I'm back not ahead but not behind because last year was just expensive, trying to stay alive and stuff. And then I'm going to Creative South, so that'll be fun. Excited about doing that. Seeing some of those guys that we met in 2019 when Scott and I went. Anyway, anybody in the Artcasters community wants to join us? It's a fun little design illustration conference. And
Josh,
then I've started.
that
I've
time.
kind of. Oh, sorry. Was that?
I said, Josh, you got to reserve that time. You got to.
I'll look into it.
All right.
I think we'll be there during my birthday. I can't
See if
remember
your
the
company
exact.
will pay for it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the time. We'll see, but I don't think I'll have the time this year.
Start of April is the timing. So that'll be fun. I started my newsletter up. Been fairly as consistent as I like to be. I don't like to do the deadlines on the side project stuff, and so I don't say I'm going to do one a week or one every other day or something. it's very unlikely that I will do more than one a week. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you can be certain that I will not be loading you up on emails and stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to keep doing the newsletter, and I think that's a good way. And that newsletter, I kind of structured it as I'm doing esoteric crumble flux illustrations. So those kind of black and white, highly detailed illustrations that are really symbolic and talk about different possible societal collapses and things that we can do to avoid them. So ironically, I haven't done one about AI yet, but I've done one about attention spans. I've done one about collectively we're getting dumber. I've done one about death of bees and the numbing behaviors that we do to kind of ignore their true callings and things. So there's some of that stuff, and I'll get into some more of those. I'm pretty excited about that. Initially, I had that idea by way of maybe doing like a deck of like larger cards or something like that. And then I kind of thought, I know Scott does this a lot as well. I think originally it's a Jake Parker thing. Just making sure that when you draw something that it has multiple uses and multiple purposes. And so these drawings that I do, they end up in multiple products. And right now those are going to be, shirts and mugs and flags and things like that. What's
Cory,
that?
You gotta do a book, especially the black and white. You can,
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a KDP book, do it in black and white, and have your essays next to the illustrations. You've already got all that content. I mean, put it together, and I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah,
and I had kind of thought of that with like the cards, but a book is a good format for that too.
Yeah.
Kind of like an Austin Kleon style book where it's like the Steal Like an Artist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be really cool. I like the idea, and I don't know, I don't have the audience to like really do a Kickstarter that would have any consequence, but I would love to print them larger in a book with perforated edges that you could keep it in the book, or you could tear it out and hang them up. I think that would be kind of cool. But the custom stuff gets a touch expensive. But because this black and white, I think there's good possibility. I like the idea of having the essays there with it as well.
Coloring books, and I've seen the reverse. I don't know if they're called reverse coloring books, where it's white on like basically like your illustrations, where people would color in the white line art and stuff. That might be something cool to do. Yeah,
that could be cool. Yeah. So that's the kind of goal with that is I think because of the way that they are, there's a variety of applications that they work with. But right now I want to just focus on getting, initially I wanted to get somewhere between 25 to 75 of them done. I was hoping that it would take me about one a week. And maybe when I'm not fighting all the stuff that I'm fighting, then that's more likely. Right now it's been maybe a week and a half average, so a little bit slower than I intended. So maybe slightly longer than a year. And I don't know. I'll look at, if I hit 20 or 30, that's a pretty decent sized book. I could do a volume 1 or something like that. So, but the idea is the newsletter. I've been using that as a vehicle to write more explanations of what I'm doing, because like a lot of the stuff that I do has like some pretty deep, maybe not deep, but at least some well thought out symbolism and stuff. And so, I'm not sure that all that really comes out and is obvious. And so, I mean, for example, like put your heart into it. Like I had very intentional reasons for having each of those characters be the specific insects that they are. Like the artist was a cicada, which, kind of flourishes every 17 years and then dies. And the crowds were ants, which are kind of mindless drone-like followers. And then the businessman was a fly, which is kind of like a carrion, kind of drawn to corruption and, decay type of thing. And so like, I just thought it would be interesting to have kind of a vehicle to explain some of those things a little bit better. And so that's what I do. That's what I do in my newsletter. And it's been fun. It's been fun to kind of chase these topics down and then do a video essay and then kind of transcribe that and put that in the newsletter. And then so you get kind of like you could read it, listen to it, or watch it. And then you have like an artifact that kind of goes along with those thoughts with the finished kind of illustration, which could then be captured in books, cards, postcards, posters, flags, mugs, shirts, or whatever type of thing. So the point really isn't to make money, though I'd welcome it. But I just want to get some of those ideas out there. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't have a lot of. I think I'm gonna. I'm gonna Forrest Gump the year. When I feel like animating, I'm gonna animate. When I feel like jump back into yield modernity, I'm gonna jump back into that. When I feel like inking, I'm gonna ink, and we'll just kind of see where that gets us. I think there'll probably be some other freelance stuff that'll happen and kind of help with some of the financial things as well. So there's a few of those things where I've been kind of talking about, just kind of talking about, just give me a couple months. And so I've got some clients that are good paying clients and they're kind of waiting in the wings. So I'll probably try to knock those out in a way that I can still do my thing and not have those be overwhelming. So, yeah. So, and I keep thinking it's 2024 because I spent so much time today planning 2024. Just the speed of education versus the speed of business never ceases to amaze me because it takes years to make changes. And so we are always planning several years ahead, the catalog years, and all that. So I thought it was 2024 for most of today. Because that's the spreadsheet I was in. Anyway, Josh, how about you?
By the way, I've been there where like you're planning stuff for 2024 and then like I forget the year and think it's 2024. I've totally been
right.
Yeah, so my goals aren't super crazy. It's just to finish Not Death But Love. I had a really productive meeting a couple days ago with our new editor because West Margin got acquired by Turner Publishing. And so Turner Publishing is now our publisher. So they're still continuing to publish the book. The format's going to be the same. From speaking to the editor, I'm really optimistic, and I think we're still going to make a really beautiful book. And I also had the luck of kind of explaining to the editor, like, look, I can get all the pages done by the deadline, but you're going to have a book that's like not what it could be, And so I ended up getting an extension, which is great. So I don't have to deliver these till January, which is
cool.
Much more possible. So for me, it's just buckling down, keeping my sanity, because this has been a much bigger undertaking than I thought. I've had a higher output on pages than I think I've ever had. And so that's the main goal, is like just keep my mental health, my relationship with my family, and get this thing done. Because it's going to be a beautiful book. And, books are always a risk, but if you're going to take the risk of making a book, make it good. And then my other plans, because I got really into like the red pill community and, like seeing the Matrix for what it was, we're all kind of shot to hell last week. So no, I'm just kidding. That was an Andrew Tate jab. I was making fun of Andrew Tate.
And Logan Paul, he's in on that as well now.
Oh, is he arrested too?
Nobody's claiming the Matrix is after him as he's on his 47th. I think he's being accused of abusing pigs now or something. I don't know.
Oh goodness. Well, anyhow, guys. So I like the idea of a less toxic manosphere. So like the idea of Cory talking about like positivity and like breathing exercises and ways to like actually control yourself, I think is really kind of a good route. But yeah, and then aside from that, like I I can't really think of much other than that. I'd like to do some music and maybe recording. If I could, I'd like to hit another album by next year. I think that might be possible. And then just like try to stay sane. Oh, I forgot the last goal is I want to get back to live streaming and do it consistently again. Cool. Because I really liked the live stream community that was building from it. And I really think that it'll be good to kind of get that moving again. So I want to do that again more often. It's just one of those things when you fall out of it, it's kind of like exercise where when you're in the flow of it, it's easy to do. But when you take like a week off, it becomes a month, and so, yeah, that's all I can really think other than just to, and try to promote the books that already are out there. Yeah, that's my very short, which is weird because I'm long-winded, but that's my very short list of goals. Yeah.
Does that fall under the predictions, Cory?
I think I did pretty well, but I kind of expected more out of Josh.
Yeah, it's real basic this year. I will say, just as a side note to fill some time, and I'm kind of curious, are either of you guys fans of Radiohead, the band Radiohead?
I'm not super familiar with Radiohead, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
My brother's a big fan. I know that, but yeah.
This might be for like Gary, because I know Gary's a big fan of Radiohead. I just found out this week, and maybe I'm just out of touch. Gary, you can make fun of me in the chats, but I just found out this week that they have 2 albums that were put out by the guitarist and Tom York of Radiohead under the band The Smile. And so I found that out today, that there's these 2 albums, and I have no idea how it flew under the radar for me. I didn't know about it. And so to me, that's going to be a really exciting year, because I think they're one of the better, like Tom York's is genius. And then I'm blanking out on the guitarist's last name, but Johnny, not Johnny Marr, but anyhow, Johnny Greenwood is one of the best guitarists alive. And so, yeah, so just throwing that out there. If you guys are going into the new year, you need a good soundtrack, check out The Smile. They put out an album last year and the year before that, and I had never found it. So anyhow, just throwing that out there. That was off topic, but time filler. There you go, Cory. Did that fit your predictions now?
There you go. Yeah. No, I think I rambled much longer. So anyway, I don't know. I think it'll be kind of fun. I think it'll be kind of an experimental year. At least for Scott and I, it'll be kind of experimental. I think Josh, I love that you've got a little bit more time than you had before, because I think that's going to be awesome. And it'll be really good.
It's good to know, because you don't want to sacrifice the quality, and like that's what would happen. Like, I mean, we've all been there where, like, if you're an illustrator and you have to do something in a crunch, like there are times where like the crunch is so tight that the quality is just going to suffer,
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah. And that's, that works in certain situations, but it's never ideal. And so it's good you're working with a publisher that understands, a better product. Cause it's not like you're saying, I think I'm going to take 23 years to make this. You know what I mean? Like you're like, this ridiculous pace that I'm doing, let's slow that down a tad. It's still going to be a really fast book that you're putting out, even with the extended deadline. So, but yeah, I think it's good. Anyway, I'm glad, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what Scott does with all the new stuff. Being, I got to tell you, being privy to what the channel is going to be, and then not being able to publicly say what I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So,
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, obviously. I'm ready. I want to do it now, but it's, like we're talking about, it takes time. You don't want to rush it. So
no, I think you'll do it right, and it'll be good. But yeah, I don't know. I like kind of the stride I hit at the end of the year last year. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see how.
the amount the illustrations you put out just in the latter half of the year, I mean, with the
Oh yeah.
esoteric crumble flux is just really impressive. So
Oh,
especially
thanks.
with
Yeah.
especially with all that's going on,
Yeah, you also
Yeah.
released one of your best animated films too. So, it's not like it was a shot in the dark year
Yeah.
or whatever. You kind of rocked it despite the craziness.
Yeah. It was good. It was good year. I like Shades. It was really fun to make. And I'd probably like to do a little bit more. I've been thinking of even doing a little bit more traditional animation, like frame by frame animation. I've been reading, some of those old school animation books where they talk about, how many frames in a walk cycle, and there's debates on whether you should have a double bounce 12 frame walk cycle or a single bounce 18 frame walk cycle. And it's a lot more into the weeds than I've gotten before, but it's been interesting. It's been interesting. So I've been playing with that a little bit. Oh, I forgot to talk about the one thing that has been a fairly major thing is I have kind of found a social media that I don't think is toxic and is not actively trying to ruin humanity. And it's been really nice. I'm on Mastodon, and there's some issues with it, but it is pleasant and not addictive, and it doesn't have an algorithmically driven timeline. There's no algorithms at all, actually, and so you get a lot more engagement from much smaller audiences because people see your stuff. If they choose to follow you, they see it, and there's nobody choking it off or anything like that. And also, it's kind of you don't get people on, like, there are no influencers on there, because there's no explosive growth and there's no, there's no real clout chasing. It feels like the internet of 2001 to 2005. It's kind of a nice thing, maybe that era, but with fewer, rotating glittery lettered gifs of your name with songs playing.
Mhm.
It's
what's your prediction for Mastodon then? Is it the same as like the Comic Lab guys or what?
What's my prediction for Mastodon?
Yeah, as far as what it will look like a year from now.
I've been thinking about the nuance of what they're talking about. So just the Comic Lab guys, specifically one of them, every time Mastodon comes up, he claims that it's not it. That it's not
Or
happening.
he's calling you guys out. That's what I'm just saying.
Calling
Comics Lab. Hold on a second. Let me go full cam here.
Come at me.
Comics Lab. Corey Kerr has a problem with you, and if you have a problem with him having a problem with you, you should get on the show. I'm just kidding.
What I think is these are two guys that have dedicated their lives to producing web comics, and they share those web comics, and their livelihood is based on people seeing those web comics and buying the books and backing the Kickstarters and doing the things. And in those types of situations, I don't think the internet of the early 2000s is the ideal place. Like, you want addictive content, you want algorithmically driven timelines, you want because if you're producing content that keeps people on there, then that kind of feeds the algorithm, right? I think the problem that it's not Dave Kellett, it's the other guy that has the issue with it, right?
Oh,
Scott?
Brad Geiger. Yeah.
Brad Geiger. I think the problem that Brad has with it is that you're not, it's not a Twitter replacement, right? You're not going to be able to go on there and explode and have, tens of thousands of followers, because you dunked on, Elon Musk or something. it's a slow growth. It's a more natural growth, and it's more organic, and it's not viral. And so I think it's a little counterintuitive to the current marketing strategy of most people online, because it's a place where you probably shouldn't have a marketing strategy. It's more of a social environment where you are sharing your art socially, and people like it, they talk about it. If they don't, they don't. And anyway, so I think there's a space for it, and I think the reason that I like it is because it's going to be really hard to kill, for one. I think Brad tried to get an account and log in during a time where there was a bunch of people doing the same thing, and he hit some kind of obstacles with signups and stuff. And I did as well. When I went on there, it was during one of the spikes, because Twitter was falling apart, and that you can see charts on Mastodon growth that totally line up with Elon Musk making an announcement that he was going to buy it. There's a big spike to go to Mastodon, and being forced to buy it by the courts, another big spike, and then firing everybody who's in charge of trying to stop insurrections in different countries, and then there's another big spike. And so Elon Musk is probably one of the best advertisers for Mastodon that there is.
So Cory, I think the other criticism they had on it was that not just the sign up, but just the way it works is it's not super user friendly, or it's different enough that people might not understand really how it works.
Okay, so you can make that argument a little bit, but I still think that's during sign up, because once you're in, it's pretty straightforward. You push the create post button, you can add audio, images, video, or text, and then you post it. It's about as basic as it gets as far as that. There's some kind of nuanced things, like as a community, they're fairly inclusive, and so they want you to add metadata and alt text to your images for screen readers, for those that are visually impaired, and use screen readers and things like that. They suggest pretty heavy content warnings on things, and so you can kind of content warning your stuff. And I know that if you're doing a not safe for work comic, then that might be a little bit frustrating. But the only really confusing thing is it is open source and federated. And so I had to kind of research a little bit on like what it was and what it meant. But the idea is it's an actual decentralized internet, rather than what crypto and that world kind of claims as decentralization, which isn't. Crypto is very centralized. There's a lot of bottlenecks and a lot of gathering of things. Whereas this is, there are small instances on different servers, and those servers connect to each other. And so it's kind of like the web rings of the 90s, where you have a web ring of a group of people, and then they point to another web ring and that type of thing, and you can kind of see each other's stuff. It's that type of thing. And so there are just thousands of different instances with fewer than 10,000 users on each instance, and then you can choose to connect with everybody you want and disconnect with whoever you don't want. And so I'm on an instance that is an art instance, and one of the things that the guy has said is we're going to disconnect with anybody that the moderator says we're going to disconnect with anybody that is actively promoting NFTs, crypto kind of scams, for lack of a better term, and any incitement to violence, any kind of Nazi stuff or that type of thing. They just they don't connect with those instances. And so it's spread out. It's kind of out there. And so initially, as you're signing up, you have to choose like which instance or which server you're going to join. And that can be a little bit daunting, but once you decide, I want to be on something that's doing something with art, or something that's doing something with writing, or something that's doing something with movies or whatever, then you can still connect with everybody else. And so, but once you're on, it's pretty straightforward. You can see the people you follow. You can see there's another tab that you can see the local timeline of the instance that you're on, and there's another tab where you can see the federated timeline that you're connected to from all the other instances. So I think the claim is probably frustration based on getting in, but also once you're in, you're not going to see explosive growth. You're not going to see an algorithmically addicted growth pattern of shooting through the roof, and all of a sudden you've got tens of thousands of people following you, because it's a slow growth, chronological, more natural, non-viral situation. So I don't think it's for everybody, but I do think you can't buy it. No billionaire could come in and buy it, because they would have to purchase, thousands of individual instances from people that are pretty heavily into open source, anti-capitalist kind of situations. They're not anti-capitalist in that most of them are happy to have people sell their work and stuff like that, but they're not pro monopoly, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, my predictions for it are, I think you're going to see some stuff happen that will be problematic. I think you'll see some radicalized groups get on there and start their own instance and be moderated by themselves, so that they're not moderated by Northern California, and that that has its negatives. But I think you're also going to see a lot of people. I think we are in an era, whether or not this is going to happen this year or not, but I think we are in an area where we're going to see two main things happen from a technology standpoint. One is we're going to see a significantly more rapid adoption of many different types of generative AI. That is going to continue to just encroach in on our lives. And then the other thing is, I think you're going to see the implosion of social media as we know it today. I don't think Web 3.0 or Web 3 or whatever you want to call it, the way that it's described right now, has any legs at all. That's definitely not going to happen. But I do think you're going to see the end of the just domination of these very few giant platforms. They're going to crumble and fall. People are totally uninterested in the metaverse, which looks like Second Life from 10 or 15 years ago, or Wii Sports or something. It looks awful, and it has no appeal. Facebook is viewed as being something that everybody's grandmother is on, and it's nice to share family pictures, but nobody wants to be on it. TikTok is 100% certain that's going to be banned at some point, because you've got the Trump administration and the Biden administration both agreeing on things, and they don't agree on things. And lots of programmers and things have gone in and looked at the code of that. And maybe they're not currently sharing things with the Chinese government, but who's to say that the Chinese government won't just make them at some point? And if you're watching what China's been doing the last couple of years with social media, with freedom of speech, and with what they call their social credit score, it is horrific human rights violations. Just the social credit score might be one of the most evil things that we don't talk about generally, and it is awful, and it is becoming kind of secretly adopted in certain European states and that type of thing. And I think TikTok's going to go away. YouTube is going to continue to kind of stick around. I think there's going to be some backlash to the kind of short, stupid content. Everybody's trying to be TikTok and that type of thing. Instagram, I think, is going to die. I think it'll take longer to die than Facebook, but it's going to go away, because it's trying to become a TikTok clone, and they're trying to walk back a lot of their garbage that they keep saying things like they care about creators and they want creators to do well, but they're not actually taking the actions that will promote that. You've got Twitter is in a tailspin with billions of dollars of debt, because of a purchase that's now being run by a tech toddler who's got the attention span of a goldfish, and Anyway, so that's, people are going to continue to kind of just spiral from there, and it's going to become kind of a cesspool of unregulated things that'll continue to spawn violence all over the world. So who knows what's going to happen with that. But I do think that there's movements towards kind of antitrust and breaking up monopolies and things. All of that is to say, I think Mastodon is poised to kind of do pretty well, because the other ones, Hive Social and Post and things like that, they are not ready. They've had an influx of users, and they've got like 2 people programming. One of them is owned by 2 guys, and there's like 2 employees, and they are 100% going to crash and burn, just based on content moderation. Is one of the most difficult things to do. So I mean, we're doing horrible things to each other with content moderation. We've got content moderation farms where there's just warehouses full of people that are having to watch the worst things that humanity has to offer over and over and over again and make choices about it. And that's their job. And every single one of them ends up with PTSD. We are burning people out to try to keep our social media, safe and sanitized and whatever. Anyway, I just think there's going to be a rebellion against that type of stuff. And I think there's going to be a movement towards more traditional things and away from more digital things. And I'm seeing it in the youth of today. The early to mid 20-year-olds they're kind of disenfranchised with this kind of forced digital lifestyle, as they're also kind of addicted to it because they haven't been raised in an environment where they get to kind of choose those types of things. But they are yearning for a less connected lifestyle. Because
that's kind of cool. I didn't really know that, but not being around other than my own kids, but I haven't picked that up. But
that's interesting. Yeah. I wanted to highlight. Hold on a sec. Let me get on here. I wanted to highlight what Gary said, where he said Josh forgot to mention his final goal for 2023, a bitter feud with the Comics Lab guys. And then Gary said he also is a friend of Kellett. Well, Kellett, we're coming. I'm kidding. I literally don't even listen to that show.
I love that show, and they're both awesome guys.
I mean, I think I dig it because I think actually I like Dave Kellett's work. So
you'd like it. Yeah. You'd like it. It's the best art podcast in my opinion that I've.
Even if I'd like it, I still feel like there've been so many shots fired at the Comics Lab guys the last.
Well, they're opinionated, and a lot of their stuff I do agree with, but there's just a few things that I don't. But I mean,
do you hear that, Dave Kellett? Do you hear Scott? The fire. Anyhow, also Gary was saying, let's get to the big predictions: dinosaurs versus Mars bots in 2023. Yeah, that's going to happen, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I believe I die in that issue, which I'm kind of excited about. I love being killed in indie comics. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I think I make an appearance, but I'm not sure if I die or not. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I die or not, but I know that the images that I posed for as reference, I don't think good things are happening to me. So I don't want to give anything away because I can't remember how much of that story has been revealed, but let's just say that I wasn't posing with an ice cream cone at the park. So that's it'll be fun. So yeah, if you want to see me probably die a horrible death, I think I don't know for sure. So no spoilers there because I'm only guessing. But you should buy the next issue of Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots.
Nice.
What's your timeline on your books, Josh?
What do you mean?
I know you got an extension on some.
To January.
Do you have
January? Yeah. It's January finished. Needs to be finished by January, but that's cool. That gives me like ample time to get it done. So
yeah, that's great. And then are you going to jump back into volume 2 of 2 stories?
That's the plan. That's the hope. I might do something quick, just because I've been going from like long graphic novel to long graphic novel, and I think I might need a little. It might even just be like it might be fun to just do like a picture book or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something easy like an animated short.
Yeah, like you know what? I think what I'll do is just like 50 short features because that's so much easier than comics. That still cracks me up. Remember when Jim has said this multiple times, where he's like, "I really wanted to be a cartoonist doing graphic novels and comics, and that was just too hard. So I started making my own animations." And it's like, "Oh my gosh, are you crazy?" Like, anyhow.
I kind of want a live stream of Jim. I want two things kind of simulcast. One is a screenshot, like a screen recording of what's going on his screen on his new computer. And another one is just a shot, kind of like a wide shot of him, because I kind of imagine, like, monkeys pounding on keyboards and throwing things around the room. I'm so excited for him to use software that's come out in the last 10 years. The fact that he is as fast as he is and as talented as he is with the tools that he uses has always blown me away. So I'm really excited to see, what he does with kind of modern tools now that he's joined us, in the modern age. But he went with Adobe Animate instead of Adobe After Effects, which I totally understand and totally makes sense for his workflow. But I'm also kind of curious on how that's going to go. So yeah,
Nice.
it'll be fun.
Cool.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Christopher
good times.
Runtsman asked about, is Comics Lab the media site that talks about movies, etc.? No, it's a podcast. It's about creating comics. So
They say it's about creating comics. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's a podcast. If you look on your podcatcher or whatever, just type in Comic Lab and you'll find it.
I think specifically it's about web comics. They do have general.
Yeah, it's definitely more geared towards web comics.
Yeah. And the one guy, I don't know if you've heard of Drive or Sheldon. Sheldon is like a kid with a pet duck, and there's some other characters and stuff. And I've seen both of those all over the place before I started listening to the podcast. And then the other one is Evil Inc., which is like a villain for hire in a heavily saturated superhero world, kind of funny comic. And they're both very talented and have a lot of good advice, and they're wrong about Mastodon. So yeah, it'll be.
Do you hear that, Dave Kellett? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna keep.
I don't even think Dave Kellett cares. It's the other guy.
That the guys will even see this is pretty funny. But
yeah, no, I don't think he has much of an opinion on Mastodon. It's Brad Geiger that's got the really strong opinions. Brad Geiger also does. Is it Webcomics Weekly? What's his website?
Is it? I think it's Webcomics Weekly. I think so. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a huge kind of juggernaut of journalism and data about webcomics that has been going for years and years and years. And because he's running that, like he's really well informed and kind of like a by the numbers guy of types of things. So he's not randomly throwing out opinions. He's done a lot of behind the scenes homework and stuff. And the way his mind works is really interesting on the podcast. But but he's wrong. But he's wrong about Mastodon.
Can I tell you my opinion of Mastodon from what I've heard so far?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I'm curious. I want you to be the guinea pig on it because I have no interest in Mastodon still, and the main reason is because I'm a late adopter. Like I'm the guy who I got on Facebook like 2 years after it was big. I was still like, no, MySpace is fine. I'll stick with this. I got a MySpace way too late because I was like, LiveJournal's great. Why do I need anything other than LiveJournal? It's like I've been that guy every time. YouTube, same thing. I was late to YouTube, so I feel like and each time it's been a like, well, maybe this is just a flash in the pan kind of thing. This could be that, but like, I don't know. It sounds to me just way too complicated from your description. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It just sounds like way too much of a pain in the butt to get access to. Way too decentralized, so like it'd be hard to build a community. I don't know. I have skepticism about it, so I'm curious because I also trust your opinion. So I'll be curious to see like how it grows for you, because I think then I'll probably come with like my head down and be like, I need to join this community because everything else is collapsing. But I do think it sounds interesting, and I think it's worth people, exploring or whatever. I don't know if I'll open an account. I don't know. Scott, are you like convinced yet, or do you want to?
Well, I mean, from what Cory says, it sounds interesting. I'm just not. I just more and more I'm finding I'm not really a social media guy. It's hard for me to, carry on a bunch of conversations and things like that on social media. One, because I type slow and my spelling and grammar's bad, and I'd rather live stream where I can just talk. That's my preferred way to communicate or something like that. So I don't know. None of that really. It doesn't really appeal to me so much. So, but that's me. I mean,
I think I relate to that too, because my concern is like I just can't spread myself so thin where I barely keep up with my social media now, like adding another thing. But I am curious, like I think it'll be fun to see the journey you have on Mastodon and like if others join and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like it still
there's
sounds
a few people
that
there's a few people that try it out and then leave. That I've noticed people in our community that have created an account and I never see them again. But as you were talking, I think a better way to describe it, and this is not attractive. So I understand why me talking about it is not necessarily a good pitch, but it's kind of like methadone, where if you're really heavily addicted and you want to get off of that addiction, Mastodon is similar in form and function to a lot of what a lot of people are addicted to, but it's not as addictive. And so like I don't think it's not like, I'm not pitching it because I'm like, I'm on there all the time. I love it.
I appreciate that you're not even pitching it as like this is the next big thing. You're pitching it as more of like this is healthier, and,
right?
And more like what
the
internet should
what
be.
I like about it is when I feel like jumping onto some social media and talking to some people, I do, but I can go days without having any interest in jumping on, because it's not built to be like a humanity destroying, soul sucking, addictive platform. And so by its very nature, I don't think you're going to get many people on there because it's counterintuitive. It's like, it's like anything else where, the things that are really good for you are less attractive than the things that are, are not,
that's a fair point.
Yeah, it's much easier. It's much easier to, well, for example, like look at what you're doing, Josh. Most people sit around and watch TV all the time. You know what I mean? Like most people spend most of their free time entertaining themselves, or numbing themselves, or whatever.
Or now, like just typing in prompts to an AI generator.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can tell that you're doing that with the polygonal lasso tool there. But I mean, I do think that creatives have chosen to wire themselves a little bit differently. And I think that things like Mastodon, where people are going to be more intentional about their lives and what they consume and what they create, you're gonna get a lot more interest in a decentralized situation from that group. But I think the masses, the same people that made Honey Boo Boo and Jerry Springer popular, the sheep are always gonna happily wander to the slaughter because they don't care. They're numbing their lives away, and they're not super interested in intentionally doing things to make themselves and the things around them better. And I say that harshly, but I think it's true. And so those
Here's that Dave Kellett.
yeah. But I mean, you know, people that actively choose to sacrifice for creation, I think are
Yeah.
a different breed than
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think that's breed is the wrong word, because I'm not talking about people that are born a certain way. I'm just talking about people that choose to create, you know. I mean, you look at somebody like Scott Circland, who's actively choosing to you know, make a living doing creative things. Scott jokes that he has no plan B, but Scott could go get a job in an office doing some stuff, you know. He could do that. You know, he doesn't have to do art. I think he could. I've worked in a lot of offices, and you're better than 70% of the people I've worked with at a number of different things, you know. But there's something about people who actively choose in their free time, or in their you know, their daytime to make things. That's going against the grain, and you're pushing a rock up a hill, man. I mean, it's hard. It's difficult emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, and physically. You know, and it's way easier to play video games, watch TV, and, you know, numb your life away with, you know, whatever numbing behaviors you want to do. That is definitely the path of least resistance. And so I don't think something that by its nature actively chooses to not be addictive, and not have an algorithmically driven timeline, and not have a promotion algorithm, and not have you know, some sort of system that makes people feel bad about the way that they look and want things, and, you know, desire things, and drive these kind of fabricated needs. I don't think that's going to appeal to the masses that enjoy The Bachelorette. So I guess that's my 26-minute answer to Scott's question of what's my prediction for Mastodon. The short answer is I think the best people will be on there, and the worst people will continue to destroy society.
Oh, Gary said, I also held on to MySpace for a long time and only begrudgingly started a Facebook. I mean, you can't even have Nickelback autoplay when somebody visits your profile. Nickelback, the most hardcore band, the most important seminal punk band that ever existed. Yeah.
Yep. Of course. And I'm sure, as Christopher would concur, is Canada's national treasure. So.
Oh, are they Canadian?
Yes.
I'm sorry to Canadians. I mean, I'm just sorry to not be, you know, the origin point of that band. An amazing band. Okay. Cool. Did we do it? Did we make it happen, you guys?
Think so.
I think we did it a long time ago, and then I rambled for another 30 minutes. So
I liked your ramble, Cory. Your rambles are interesting. And, like, you know, Cory does have a pretty keen awareness of, like, what's going on, and I think it's helpful, you know. So
yeah,
I know, like, a long time ago I had I played devil's advocate to figure out whether or not what I thought of NFTs, because I had no idea. And by just asking Cory a bunch of questions, like trying to challenge why NFTs would be wrong, just to see, like, was there a hole in it? I eventually just was like, Cory's dead on. Like, he's 100% right, because it's like, it's just a strange, there are, like, inherent issues with it. And then there's new issues that I don't think either of us really even saw with it as well. But it's, yeah. So listen to Cory, you guys. He tends to be right.
Speaking of listening to Cory, you should go to corykerr.com/store and buy something there.
That's right.
I've got cool shirts about the end of the world, and how the techopoly is going to it's going to destroy us if we don't do something about it. So also I've got some more positive things that'll encourage people to stop numbing behavior and disconnect a little bit and think for yourself. So if you're interested in that type of thing, you can go to corykerr.com. And if you click on store or buy things or buy shirts, there's multiple places that you can go. They all kind of drive you to the store there. I've got unisex shirts. I've got premium heavyweight men's tees. I've got some mugs, and I've got some fairly large black flags with white ink on them. And so if any of those are your bag, then you should check that out. Josh, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at joshua.kemble.com or Joshua Kemble on YouTube, and you can pick up Jacob's Apartment or Two Stories, my 2 graphic novels, at bookstores everywhere. And preferably, if you do or have bought it on Amazon or bought it at a bookstore, there's 2 things you can do. One is on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever digital site you purchased it on, please leave a review. Just like a short review. It makes a big difference on sales. The second thing you can do is if you are ever near a library in your hometown or any local library somewhat near you, ask them to order Jacob's Apartment. That's a huge thing, and they have access to that. You can also do the same with Two Stories. So those are 2 things you guys can do, and that's where you can find my stuff. And I will also second Cory's thing. Artcasters sounds a lot better when you're drinking from a Cory Kerr mug.
It's true. It's been scientifically proven that if you give me money, I will send you merchandise. Mm-hmm. Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at circworks.com, where I've got my comic book Young and the Dead. You can also find some digital products like the Comic Maker Toolkit, the Amazing Comic Book World Builder, the Hero Design Studio. These are all products that will help you create comics and characters for comics and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check those out. And also check out my series on YouTube, Making Comics 101. It's just a series. It's the most comprehensive series on how to make comics for free anywhere, at least on YouTube. So definitely check that out there as well, along with all my other YouTube content. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that we have a newsletter for this show, the Artcasters, and it's real simple. The reason why we do it isn't to spam you or anything like that. All we do is if you want to know when we go live with these shows, because typically on a Thursday, I don't know, next week, it could be on a different day. I don't know. It could be, and you may not know exactly when that's going to happen. If you want to know when it's going to happen, join the mailing list before we go live. We'll send usually about 30 minutes or so before we go live. We'll send that out, and it'll tell you whose channel it's going to be on, because the show rotates between all 3 of our channels. Gets a little confusing, but if you don't want to be confused, just join the mailing list and you will be in the know. So check that out.
Awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
One last thing. Gary Hodges was on Christopher Runciman's channel recently, and I encourage people to check out their conversation about AI art. It's really interesting and fascinating.
Yeah, I watched it. It's great. Yeah. And Christopher Runciman's doing some great content lately.
Yeah.
I've been catching part. He's got a series he's doing right now that's really cool. So definitely check his stuff out.
Cool.
Amen. All right, guys. We'll catch you guys next week.
Goodbye.